Hey guys, it's Miss Thurston, and I wanted to do a very quick review on the concept of irony in literature. No, it's not the practice of taking out that iron and getting out the wrinkles, but what happens when the unexpected happens in literature? That is called irony. And you practiced with this term a lot in sixth and seventh grade. So I want to just do a short review because close reading number six does bring this term up because of chapter 11. And so we're going to delve into chapter 11 with this term. Um, because of close reading number six. And we're going to review the term itself. And then in class, we're going to talk about how it pertains to chapter 11. So this video is only going to serve as a quick reminder. And I want you to just take a few notes in order to have those with you as a reminder. So pull out your interactive notebook, set those up in Cornell style, and just take a few notes about irony. Remember, do your 2-column notes with your left-hand column being the smaller of the two, your left-hand side being your main ideas and your vocabulary terms, and your right-hand column being your definitions and your supporting details. So once you have your Cornell notes set up, we'll go through the PowerPoint presentation. Don't forget, at any time, you can also pause and advance this recording. It should not take you long to do whatsoever. So once you're ready to rock and roll, let's do this. Irony in and of itself, it's at the heart of its definition. When irony occurs, it's the opposite of what is expected. So in other words, as a situation is playing out, as anything is playing out in literature, whether it be a movie, a book, a TV show, when something opposite of what you expect happens, that is irony, whether it be verbal, situational, or dramatic. And that happens to be the three types of irony. So after you get this definition down, you are going to need to give yourself some subsections because there are three different types of irony: verbal irony, situational irony, and dramatic irony. And I hope you remembered that from your previous lessons. Verbal irony is something that happens in your everyday life. And we all have that person in our lives that does verbal irony all the time. We also call verbal irony sarcasm. It's when a character says one thing but means the complete opposite. We all have those sarcastic people in our lives. It's usually their tone of voice that conveys that they really mean the opposite of what they're saying. Take a look at the example on your screen. The locker room smells good, really good, Jonas said to a room full of sweaty players. Now, he probably wouldn't have said it that deadpan like I just did, especially since I have a cold right now. He probably would have said it in this tone of voice. Whew, this locker room smells really good. He probably was trying to say sarcastically, hey guys, you stink. Think about it. Do locker rooms smell really good after all the players have come in off the field? After a hard practice or a game? No, they're sweaty, all that body odor. Yuck. So he's saying sarcastically, guys, you really do stink. You don't smell good at all. Despite his sentence saying they smell really good, they really do smell bad. Sarcasm is just one form of verbal irony, and it's usually the most common. So when you think verbal irony, it has to be verbal, and it's usually sarcasm. The second type of irony is situational irony. In other words, something's up here. Something happened that is the opposite of what you expected, of the entire situation. So, what actually happens is the opposite of what is expected. For example, if Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, uses an Apple computer. Now, we know Bill Gates would never use an Apple computer, but take this kind of an example. Christopher Reeves was an actor, and he was the original Superman. Christopher Reeves was kind of the epitome of strength and endurance, being the original Superman in the Superman films in the 1970s and early 80s. Well, in the late 80s, he fell off of a horse, broke his spine, and ended up a quadriplegic. Remember Superman's nickname? Superman's nickname was the Man of Steel. So it was kind of ironic that Christopher Reeves, the Man of Steel, ended up breaking when the Man of Steel wasn't supposed to break. A lot of people consider that situational irony. Here's another example. Think about Steve Irwin. He was the epitome of animal conservation. He devoted his entire life to um, protecting animals, and he was known for putting himself in dangerous situations and putting his head in the mouths of crocodiles and wrestling these dangerous animals and surviving. He was just this crazy guy, but he loved animals, and he did everything he could to protect animals. Well, Steve Irwin died from a while snorkeling and getting stung by a stingray. They're actually one of the more docile creatures on this earth. Can you believe it? An animal conservationist um, died while from an animal, a docile animal. We call that situational irony. The opposite happened of what we would expect. The situation doesn't add up. That's situational irony. Dramatic irony. I like to refer to dramatic irony as the horror movie, lifetime movie catch. It's when the audience knows or the reader knows something that the characters don't know. Think about it. In every horror movie, we know who the killer is, or we have a good guess. But inevitably, everybody runs towards the killer, or one character doesn't know who the killer is and becomes their BFF. Or in that Lifetime movie, oh, the boy doesn't know that the girl likes him, and the girl doesn't know that the boy likes her, and they spend the entire movie pining for each other. That's dramatic irony. It Whenever you want to just look at the characters and go, wake up, don't you know such and such? That's dramatic irony. When we, the audience, or we, the reader, knows something the characters don't, that would be pivotal to the plot. For example, Tim's parents are proud of the A's he got on the test, but the reader knows that he's cheated. Especially if later on down the road, Tim feels a lot of guilt, or he gets something out of that A. So let's review. Something that is unexpected is ironic. If it's said, it's verbal. If it's an unexpected event, it's situational. If it's unknown to the character or characters in the story, it's dramatic. So I know we're not in person, but there is still a chance for you to do some little bit of review with this PowerPoint presentation. So here's what I want you to do. Before I read the statement, um, after I read each statement, I want you just to jot down real quick what you think the type of irony is. And before it appears on the video, just to see if, try to see if you're right, kind of do a self check. I'll only do 2 or 3 before ending the video. Kind of give yourself a quick practice. We're going to do more work with irony later, but use the rest of this video as a quick check before signing off. Awesome. Another homework packet, the overworked student explained. What kind of irony is that? Verbal, situational, or dramatic? If you said verbal, you're right. A professional pickpocket had his own pocket picked as he was picking someone else's pocket. Wow, that was kind of like a tongue twister. So, what kind of irony is that? Verbal, situational, or dramatic? If you said situational, you are completely correct. Who would have expected that professional pickpocket to lose his own wallet? Alex writes a love poem to Judy, but the reader knows that Judy loves Devin. Dun dun dun. Verbal, situational, or dramatic? Oh, come on, guys. This was classic dramatic and the stuff every Lifetime movie is made of. That's why I call dramatic irony the Lifetime movie irony, the Lifetime movie situation stuff. Come on now. And we'll call it a day there. Again, remember, verbal, verbal irony. If it's said, it's verbal. If it happens, it's situational. If the characters don't know it, it's dramatic. Hope this review is helpful. We'll talk about it, how it applies to chains in just a little bit. Have a good day, guys.